Buddy, welcome back to the Real Kindness Games.
Whoa, Tim. This is not how we start the real kindness games.
The kindness games, right? It's like
No, you already called me out that we can't use our real kindness games or kindness games. So back at you, buddy.
that's true.
Hang tight. Hey, welcome to the real kindness games. Pew, 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 pew. Hey, the real kindness games. Pew, 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 pew.
Kindness games. I'm Kate Sean, and this is.
I'm Tim, but where were the pew pews?
Oh, forgot the pew
What
pews.
just happened? Go back.
Welcome to the real kindness game.
Thank you.
Pew 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 pew. Pew 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 pew. Pew 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 pew. Pew 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 pew.
But we're going to continue something a little bit different. We're going to bring something to you called the Real Kindness Games. Hashtag the Real Kindness Games. And this is based on an amazing interaction that we have had. Sean and I had not seen each other in like probably 6 or 7 months since COVID started. We had a little 30-minute catch up on the calendar. And I was super stoked about this, but at the same time, trying to figure out what I'm going to do about this kindness games. And so we jumped on the call and I was like, hey, good to see you. And how did the conversation start off?
You know, I was actually really frustrated that day. 2020 has been an interesting year, right? I think for all of us, and there's been a lot going on, and I think I had like a word vomit, and I just went, Tim, everything is wrong, and blah.
And as you started saying, like, can you believe what's going on in the world right now? Can you believe this? Can you believe that people think this? And I was actually sitting there thinking, like, she doesn't know. Like, she doesn't know I'm a conservative. And so I'm like, I don't know. We have a really good relationship. Like, now is not really a safe time for anybody, but can I have this conversation? Because this is what the kindness game should be about, is having conversations and spreading kindness.
We as a country are so divided right now. And I think it's the conversation that we're supposed to have is, well, what exactly it is that we're talking about. Let's have a diversity of opinions in the room, on the table, so that we can be respectful and kind towards each other.
So that 30-minute sync turned into a 90-minute conversation about why we've been friends all these years. And we came to a single premise.
So the real kindness games is exactly what we're going to be doing in reality. We're going to be filling the leadership vacuum. We're going to bring all of the leaders who have been pushed into a corner of their own politics to get them out of the box. We're not in a box. Tim and I refuse to be in our own respective boxes of conservatives or liberals. We are going to come to the middle, and we're going to bring people with us.
So the real kindness games is about sharing gratitude and acknowledging those who have made an impact in our lives. But the real kindness games is about taking it a step further. We as humans are made up of flesh and bones and countless internal biases. The real kindness games is about practicing what we preach to break down the barriers of biases to create a more united world. Oh boy.
Do it.
Tim,
So
it's
good.
about making dinners great again.
Make dinners great again. This is not political content. The way this got started with Kekishan and I was a little bit political, but two things. One, if you're not aware of political discussions going on in your workplace right now, you are out of touch. They are going on. But two, this is about how to have conversations about having conversations with people with differing and sometimes opposing perspectives.
I've been struggling with this piece. You know, we had our first conversation and I, went back and watched it a few times, and you had a very political conversation with your neighbors about something that actually triggered our conversation. So You know, are they really, are they bad people?
No, they're actually super cool. We still hang out. We've hung out since that conversation. And I think that's probably a foundational element. If we're going to have these discussions in kindness, like we need to extend some grace.
I'm one just super glad that you are still friends with those folks, and you know that it's, you practice what you preach.
Well, I try. I'm not perfect. I think we can all agree that none of us are perfect, except for my wife. Another story.
There aren't just good people and bad people. There are just people. You know, we're not perfect. So how do we eliminate these biases?
Well, you can't. We are all people. We all have our experiences. We have our beliefs. We have our outlooks. And so we have constructed biases to help us with our life journey. That is just human nature, right? We can't get around that. But what we can do is we can be aware. We are all people. We have so much more in common than we could ever know. But we all have interesting backgrounds and interesting experiences and perspectives. And I feel like if we want to eliminate these biases affecting us, we have to be curious and seek out ways to understand other people.
It's all about growth. It's about growth. It's about curiosity. And especially when I meet someone who I don't agree with, it's understanding, why don't we agree? What's your opinion? How did you get there? Teach me something that I don't know today, because it's going to make me a better person tomorrow. So, you know, it's, we're trying to avoid that group think. Okay.
You know, if you really, really want to own an opinion, like this is my stake, and you can't talk about the other side's opinion, like you don't own anything. You're renting,
Oh, for sure.
and you don't even know you're renting, which is sad.
How can you expect to learn anything, understand anything, or, you know, be entertained?
Yeah.
Either way, having the same opinion be repeated over and over and over again is going to again do you a disservice, because you'll only understand a piece of the puzzle and not the larger picture.
So I challenge you to get outside of your zip code, your state, your province, your country, if possible. We need to seek out people from different places with different backgrounds and different experiences, with perspectives that are new to us, that we don't even understand. Engage with these people in a curious manner. But in all honesty, we're having conversations about having conversations with people we don't agree with. I just found out that Kekishan has a MacBook. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, this is over.
Ugh. Ugh. We can't be friends anymore, Tim. That's it.
Crazy. No, actually, I do want to start off with a little bit of gratitude, because, you know, gratitude feeds kindness. So, Kekishan, I am so thankful for the friendship we've had over these last like 3.5 years. And knowing and interacting with you has really helped me become like very tolerant. So I appreciate that.
What? Explain, please.
Well, I mean, all of your interesting ideas and your background, and I've been learning about your experience, and it's just really helped me tolerate not only you but others as well.
But you're not just tolerating them like administrative work, right? Like, ugh, administrative work. I tolerate that. But I accept you. Like, I accept you even though you have a PC.
Wow. Tolerating people, I mean, we just use it in a sentence and it doesn't actually make sense. It's not a friendly thing to bring people together and build communities. So how do we do this, Kekishan? You're the smart one here.
Haha. Well, you know, I tolerance is like you said, it's a tool, right? It's another tool in our toolkit to be more inclusive in our community, in our society. It shouldn't be that, oh, I just tolerate everyone.
But if you take that from the very mild case to like what people often are, like, you really make me angry, and like, I'm so virtuous if I can tolerate people of other opinions. And we kind of threw this out in like one of our earlier videos, that if you actually believe in diversity and inclusion, you must be open to and accepting of other people's views.
You go into conversation with an open mind and you say, sure, this is not the opinion that I hold, but I am willing to have this conversation to understand that you as a fellow human have a specific mindset or an opinion, and that is completely okay.
I think we have to say tolerance, not the ideal. Curiosity to understand another human being is the ideal.
It's changing that mindset to, I don't agree with this person, and let me understand why we have a difference of opinions, and just accept it and move on, right? Move on as a community together. So, we have to make the decision to accept other people for who they are and the different walks of life that they come from, because they can't accept us for who they are if we don't take that step ourselves.
Like, you really do need to ask yourself, like, why did that reaction happen? What am I uncomfortable with? What foundational part of me has been challenged? And that's not saying that there's anything wrong with you. Actually, that's an amazing time. That's your body and your mind telling you, I'm not comfortable because there's something that I think is a truth that is being challenged. And so now you have the decision. One, tolerance. This is where tolerance comes in. The way that you are, the way that you want the world to be, it's okay not to have a quote unquote logical opinion, but you can still understand, how did you get there, right? Why is it so important to you? And that becomes part of your story. And so let's not just say that, well, if you don't follow facts, then whatever, or I believe this, and there's all sorts of things to show you that your position does this. If you don't believe it does that, that's fine. Understand yourself and be able to explain why you feel the way. But we are not one-dimensional people. We have a physical, we have a mental, we have a spiritual aspect to all of us.
I think we definitely need to come to the center of the table with, hey, here's my opinions, here's your opinions, here's some things based in fact, here's some things that are not. And instead of just blatantly telling ourselves or telling people who we don't agree with that you're a terrible person because I don't agree with you, hey, try to understand where they're coming from. Maybe you both can learn and you both change your opinions in a different direction because both of your opinions were based in non-facts. So, instead of just telling someone that they're inaccurate, just, come to it with curiosity and come to it with a perspective that even you may be wrong. Don't just tolerate someone you don't agree with. Take it one step further. Accept them for who they are and accept their choices and their opinions. You don't have to accept that choice or that opinion as your own. Just try to understand where they're coming from and how they got to that conclusion. You don't have to agree on everything with people you respect, but you do have to respect their ideals, their choices, and their decisions.
Tim, what's the new career?
I'm starting up a kindness NGO.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be freaking awesome. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to try to replace like UNICEF, because they waste a ton of money. We're going to replace like all these organizations, and we're just going to be kind to people and do things and spread ideas and services that are actually kind, that lift people up. We're going to be awesome, and we're going to do so much better, but it's going to mean just like making some hard decisions and cutting things out and just getting aligned, completely aligned.
Alignment does not mean that you shed your authentic personality, Tim. Come on, we have more choices in life. What you're talking about is a false choice. Just because you hand me a tray of choices does not mean those are the only choices I get to make.
This thought process is a dangerous thought process because it leads down a path. And we as human beings, we need to recognize that we get to opt in to life. Mm-hmm. We get to look at our life and what we want to experience and how we want to impact our communities and the worlds around us, and say, you know what? Like, I am going to do these things, but I'm also going to invest in and do these things.
And we as human beings expand through our experiences and through our relationships and through our partnerships. You can't just expect someone to fall in line because, well, they respect you, so they have to support you in the best way that you think that they need to do it.
This is really a control mechanism, right? And so if a group, if a person, if an organization is saying, hey, if you're in, then all of this must follow.
Mhm.
That is an attempt to control you, but these are not all bad. Alcoholics Anonymous, they say, hey, if you're going to walk this path, this 12-step path, then you need to do these things and you cannot do these things.
Right.
And some of the things you need to do, super uncomfortable, very difficult. And some of the things you cannot do, also very difficult. Are you conflicted ever? Like, do you have like parts of your life that actually don't go together, but you still want to have both of them?
Frequently. I am frequently conflicted. And I
So
think it's not just me.
are you evil?
No. Confliction does not mean you're evil. It's a point of growth, right? Like the only way that you can go from one phase of your life through the next phase of your life is through a growth process.
Hey, you know what? We are not fully perfected, fully evolved, fully perfect people. In fact, life is a journey. And if we do not allow ourselves the freedom to hold opinions and challenge opinions and form new opinions and learn about all the facets of our complicated world and learn about all the facets of these beautiful, complicated people around us, and maybe change our minds and maybe not. Maybe we realize that we can be of one political ideology and still really identify with some tenets of the other side. And that doesn't make us terrible. That just makes us complicated. But to become a survivor takes a serious set of difficult choices and actions to move out of your victimhood and towards something new. But the fact remains that to remain a victim also takes a set of choices. It's just a set of choices that you're already in and you need to keep making. And the reason this comes on the heels of the false choices topic is because abusers will give their victims false choices to keep them locked into the relationship, to keep them locked into the family, with the kids, with all of these different things. Maybe your family comes, never really made a lot of money, didn't really have a career path, and now you feel like you don't have a career path either. You don't have a way to get there. It could be something as like overeating and being overweight. My entire family is overweight, and for me, weight is a struggle because I like to eat. I've learned a lot of behaviors, and I'm always having to. Well, actually, my wife gives me the false choices. Hey, do you want to be that way, or do you want to move on? And I'm like, I like being a victim of my body. But this is a serious topic too, right? Because like we talked about with false choices being a control mechanism, that leads to that victim mentality to where we have an entire mental condition that allows outside controls to control us, whether they're people or groups or our out of control desires and addictions.
And and Tim, you and I have talked about this plenty of times. I myself am a survivor of domestic violence, and I say survivor now because years and years ago I would be in that victim category because I really thought the world was against me. I couldn't open myself up. I couldn't open myself up to support or friendship or to good relationships because I thought that people were just going to hurt me. And just because of one person's actions, I made myself just closed off to any like positive interactions that I could have had with other people in my life. And so you are absolutely right. It's all about choices and it's all about mindset. I had to make the choice to move on and to stop thinking of myself as a victim and to stop thinking of the world as something that was against me, and really to understand that it's really all about community. It's about support. And Tim, you're right. Like it's not just about domestic violence, right? Like you could have gotten fired from your job. You could have gotten laid off, and you could think, "Oh my God, I can't believe my company did this to me. Oh my God, I can't believe my management did this to me." But really, it's about taking a step back and using that moment as your lesson learned.
Yeah.
What could I have done differently? What could the company have done differently? Where can I go now? right? Like use it as an opportunity instead of just kind of plopping down and going, well, I can't go further than this. This is where the train ends.
So we just came off of a really strong episode. I feel like I'm pretty passionate about that victim mentality, right? So when you get into that mental state to where you're stuck, you're staked down to an idea, to a relationship, to a whatever that is, and it's through that culmination of false choices that you've opted into that you realize that you're stuck and you need to opt out. And so that's a really hard decision. I'm glad we talked about it. It's a very unpopular topic to talk about because everybody wants to like get their little feelings of how things work with different types of victims and everything. And there's no one size fits all. But if we don't talk about it, then we don't provide anybody the strength to move past it. And, you know, we need to surround ourselves with good people who can help us think through life, think through problems, think through social issues, whatever they may be. And today we're going to talk about the age of information that we are in. Information is so easy to get. It's at the tip of our fingers, through our phones, through our computers, through our TVs. And yet there's an unhealthy byproduct. There is the byproduct, the assumption or the understanding that if you're smart, then you must be well read. And so people actually expect you to hold an opinion on everything.
But that's the point, right? Go ahead.
Absolutely. Is it actually possible to have a well-reasoned position on every available topic, whether it's at your work, whether it's within the political sphere, whether it's within a passionate sports thing or hobby that you have? Is it possible?
No,
No,
not at all. The whole idea of us having these conversations is about being okay with the fact that you may be wrong. You may be wrong more times than you're comfortable with, and that is okay. It's okay to just not know everything about everything because, man, if you know everything, you're a computer, and even computers can't know everything.
no, and they're super boring to talk to. I hate my computer because actually it tries to tell me what it thinks I should be doing. I'm like, hey, just do what I told you, bro. Like, step off. So can we change our age? Let's go from being in the age of information to being in the age of discovery. There's so much information available to us. Why can't we just have curious conversation? Anyways, back to curious conversation. Hey, help me understand your position. I don't have to agree with you. I don't even need to take a position. That's a false choice. What's your position on this? I actually don't care about that. Not super important. But I'd love to hear what you think about it because I'd like to learn. Help me discover.
And it's okay. It's so like I'm giving you permission to say, hey, I've changed my mind. I used to believe this, but now I believe that because of the conversation that we've had and we've discovered something new together. What do you think about that, Tim?
I think that's a huge leap that only a secure person like yourself could take. So, hey,
all right, Tim.
I've done the last couple NPR moments. They're getting kind of boring. Please.
Let's do this. So, in the age of information, it is important that we allow ourselves the grace and the time to just understand somebody else's opinion. It's okay to say, I don't know, or let me find that out. It's okay to say, I had an opinion before, but my experiences and my life choices and the people that I'm meeting today or the conversation that I had yesterday has changed what I believe and what I do. Or even to say, you know what? I don't agree with what you're saying, and I don't agree with the opinion that you hold, but I want to understand where you're coming from. All right, Tim, we took a lunch break. What'd you have for lunch?
Was that a fat joke? What, you assume that I eat lunch because I'm overweight? Like, I had rice cakes, thank you. What'd you have for lunch?
Cheese. Offended much?
No. Why?
I, I feel attacked.
Oh, my bad.
I am offended. I am offended by your offensiveness.
Well, it's probably I'm hangry because I've been eating rice cakes because I'm fat.
Tim, are you fat shaming yourself?
You're fat shaming me. It's pissing me off.
Don't be putting words in my mouth, Tim. Like, oh my God, I can't believe you used that word. I am offended. And I was like, why are you offended? Like, that's just not the best way to have conversations. It's like, I think if someone says something about something that is like that you feel deeply about, instead of being just offended and immediately just stopping that conversation, going, okay, I can't hang out with you, maybe take a step back and be like, well, what did you mean by that?
Hey,
What do you think, Tim?
can I have an opinion?
No, I don't know. I don't know. Sure, go ahead. Go ahead, Tim.
So unsafe right now. Hey, I think people that are always insulted or offended, I think they rely on this as a defense mechanism to not have conversations.
You just become so emotionally insecure, and you're, like, especially within.
You're reading my notes in the Google Doc, bro. Like I only have so many good points. Stop stealing them.
Or are you even offended, or are you just trying to get out of a specific conversation? Because sometimes it feels like, go ahead.
Or are you feigning offense?
Oh, that one's the worst.
Like, and I think people use that as like, kind of like a first strike thing. Like, oh, I am out of my mental depth. I think this is largely a nasty byproduct of that age of information we talked about. If I don't feel like I can have a well-reasoned opinion, if I don't feel like I can hold a conversation, but I am anchored to this viewpoint. Or some people are very opportunistic with it. I find it hilarious that you can watch the news, you can watch TV, and somebody will talk about a group of people or an idea or something, and somebody will be like, I'm offended by that. And you're like, are you with that group of people? Are you of that like idea? No.
Yeah, because there's so much information out there. There's so many groups that you can join. And the whole idea is that if you're in my group and you and I are in the same team, well, we should have the same thought process. And if that person in group X has a different opinion, well, if I'm offended, you better be offended with me. Like, we are going to be offended together, and that's going to be a mob. And I just don't understand that mentality at all, because my opinion and your opinion, we may have, similar opinions in some things, but there are plenty of things where we have different opinions, but that should not offend someone else who has the same opinion as you.
You know what? In 3 to 5 sentences, you just summed up all of the real kindness games we've done. The big miss, talking about our biases and groupthink, the dangerous ideal of tolerance, how tolerance isn't actually like an aspirational goal to get to. We can't be friends if I just tolerate you.
Yep.
It's a tool, but it's not that great of an idea. 3, false choices. If you're, then you must. Leading into the victim mentality. And all of this culminates and starts to degrade through this age of information.
Good. So the whole idea around the real kindness games, when Tim and I sat down, we're like, all right, we need to have conversations about how to have these real conversations. Insult and offense was like a huge one, because especially at the time, we as a nation were so divided. I mean, I think we're still divided, but like, we were so divided. I remember people around me just getting insulted and offended over the smallest things. And really, it's about understanding. It's about understanding someone's opinion and understanding their thought process and where they're coming from, and leaving your ego at the door. Your ego has no place here. We as a society have to come together to understand what exactly it is that we're trying to achieve. What are we trying to do? Let's come together. Let's remove our biases. Let's have an awareness of what biases that we have, and really start to have curious and kind conversations. And We don't need your insults here. Get out of here. We can't be insulted.
Sometimes I step over the line. And if I do actually insult you, like, let me know. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about why I insulted you so that I can learn to be better around you. Because what's insulting to you is probably not insulting to a lot of other people, right? And
Agreed.
that's actually, this is killing comedy, which is unfortunate. Like,
Yes.
the world will soon, in 5 years, Nostradamus Tim will no longer be fun if this shit goes on.
There are times that it is okay to be insulted, right? There will be moments, but take that moment, be insulted momentarily, and then move on. Figure out, tell that person why you were insulted, what insulted you, and how they can fix it. If you're going to tell someone that you were insulted, tell them what they can do to fix it instead of just saying, I'm insulted, and then move on, because that is not constructive at all. You are literally just saying that I was insulted and there's nothing that you can do to fix that.
I've been out of high school for 20 years. I grew up. You should grow up too. Hey, you know what? I was going through my playlists the other day, and I was reminded of my favorite band. It just brings back like memories of like a better time and a better place. I just love me some Nickelback. Don't you love them too?
Okay, the only meme I ever remember is Nickelback with a vacuum, because Nickelback sucks. Like, what? Dude.
Nickelback is awesome. I mean, what? Are you serious right now?
I am shocked and slightly left speechless. Please, I'm curious. What else was on your playlist?
Well, we got some Hoobastank, we got some Blink 182, we got some Edema, we've got, you know, some stuff like that. Lit?
What's lit?
What?
Tim, come on. Have you had any new musical choices since high school?
You know, I'm just really comfortable with like where I was in my prime in high school, and that's my zone. So, and besides, like if I stay where I was in high school, that's safe. I know that place, I know that crowd. Like it's always going to be there for me.
Okay, so let's talk about what the topic of today. Never having a new idea again. Could you imagine if Tim was stuck in his high school ways forever? This dude is awesome.
Did you know in high school, I was in a show choir, Sequin Bow Tie, Sequin Combo.
I need you to yodel right now.
Not yodeling. That's not choir. But I was like doing jazz fingers and the little mini Carlton. Yeah.
Do we really want to be in a community or in a society where we can never have new ideas again?
You know, and that's a real danger right now, because we started off talking about why we started this, because during the height of the protests surrounding George Floyd and the riots, you and I, we worked together, but we've been COVIDed out, right? At home. And we hadn't talked in like 5 months. And when we reconnected, just the stresses, you know, that we had, you know, we just kind of laid them at each other's feet. And we realized that we're awesome people and good friends, but we're actually on complete opposite spectrums of the political sphere, right?
Yep.
And we came to the point of like, can we be friends? And I remember that when I was like, can we still be friends? And you were like, I'm offended that you would actually ask that. Like, we're really good friends. And yet the world that we're in says we can't be, which is crazy. And now we can't actually learn new information and change an opinion or evolve. And like, what if we were never allowed to have a new idea again? Like, what if all of a sudden you found out that the one thing that you thought was the worst idea is actually the one that works? But you would lose your entire community if you jump ship. Is that sad?
It's terrifying. It's terrifying because especially right now we are living through a pandemic, and one of the main tenets of resilience, to be resilient as a human being, is our community. Now, if your community is like, well, Sean or Tim, you have this opinion, you can't hang out with us. You can't sit with us. All right. You can't have this new idea because, well, we don't appreciate that. That is a terrifying thought, to say that now you're just unable to have diverse thoughts. We are incapable of even challenging the status quo or saying that's not right. If your community disagrees with you so abhorrently to where they're like, well, then you don't belong here. Maybe that's not the right community for you.
Maybe that's not even a community. Maybe it's an oppressive group.
Ooh, ooh. We're
I'm
talking
just
about
saying.
oppression now.
So, I mean, here's the thing, right? It's odd that in this age of information, I like to think age of discovery, in your career path, you will only succeed and do well by innovation and new ideas. And yet, in your political, in society, in your religious beliefs, in all of these other spheres of your life, you can never change your opinion. How odd is that? Does that even make sense?
It doesn't. And you're right. You know, innovation is something that we all aspire to, especially in the tech industry, right? In tech, in security, finance, whatever industry you look into right now, everyone is like, oh my God, we have to innovate. We have to look for new, fresh ideas. So you in your work life are being required to think about new ideas and fresh ways to think about life. But in your personal life, you're stuck to this ideal because that's what your friends, family, and your community thinks. That, to me, that just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't equal out, right? So I would say that, hey, again, let's go towards that growth mindset. Let's remember that our world will forever be changing and that we have to change with it.